The idea of bringing animals back from the dead used to be the stuff of science fiction, reserved for Hollywood blockbusters and overactive imaginations. But today, we are standing on the edge of a biological revolution. Extinction, once thought to be the final chapter for any species, is being challenged by high-tech genetic tools and dedicated teams of scientists. From frozen remains in the Siberian tundra to preserved museum specimens, the blueprints of the past are being decoded. I'm your host for NatureCrest, and today we're counting down 12 extinct animals that scientists are actually trying to bring back to life. We begin with perhaps the most famous candidate for de-extinction, the woolly mammoth. These massive giants roamed the frozen north until about 4,000 years ago. Because many specimens were flash frozen in the Arctic permafrost, scientists have access to incredibly well-preserved DNA. The plan isn't to create a perfect clone, but to use CRISPR technology to edit the genome of an Asian elephant, adding the traits that made the mammoth unique, like its shaggy coat and thick layers of fat. The goal is to return these functional mammoths to the tundra to help restore the local ecosystem.
Next, we look at a bird that has become the literal face of extinction, the dodo. Native to Mauritius, this flightless bird was wiped out in the late 17th century. However, a team of geneticists recently announced they have successfully sequenced the dodo's entire genome for the first time. By using the Nicobar pigeon as a host, researchers hope to eventually hatch a bird that looks and acts exactly like the long-lost dodo. In Australia, the focus is on the thylacine, better known as the Tasmanian tiger. This unique marsupial predator was hunted to extinction by the early 20th century. Because several wet specimens were preserved in alcohol, scientists have high-quality genetic material to work with. They are currently looking into using a closely related marsupial, the fat-tailed dunnut, to serve as a surrogate. Bringing back the thylacine would represent the return of a vital apex predator to the Australian wilderness.
Not all resurrection projects involve giant mammals. The gastric brooding frog of Australia had a superpower that sounded impossible. It swallowed its own eggs and gave birth to fully formed froglets through its mouth. Though it went extinct in the 1980s, scientists have already successfully created embryos containing the frog's DNA. It is only a matter of time before these tiny miracles are hopping through the rainforest once again. The passenger pigeon was once the most abundant bird in North America, with flocks so large they could black out the sun for days. They were hunted to the very last bird by 1914. Today, a project titled the Great Passenger Pigeon Comeback is working to edit the DNA of the band-tailed pigeon to bring this species back. The hope is that their return will help revitalize the forest ecosystems that once relied on their massive migrations.
In Europe, the focus is on the quagga, a subspecies of the plain zebra that had stripes only on the front half of its body. Unlike other projects that rely on complex lab work, the quagga project uses selective breeding. By finding zebras with reduced stripes and breeding them together, they have already produced animals that are visually indistinguishable from the original quagga. We then encounter the aurochs, the massive wild ancestors of all modern cattle. These beasts were huge, aggressive, and dominated the European landscape until the 1600s. Similar to the quagga, scientists are using backbreeding with primitive cattle breeds to recreate a creature that possesses the physical traits and wild instincts of the aurochs, aiming to release them back into rewilded parts of Europe. The Pyrenean ibex actually holds the record for being the first animal to ever be brought back from extinction, if only for a few minutes. In 2003, a clone was born from the DNA of the last living female, who had died 3 years prior. Though the clone only lived for a short time, it proved that the technology works. Scientists are now refining the process to ensure a healthy, long-term population can be established. The heath hen was a beloved bird of the American East Coast until its extinction in 1932. Because it is a close relative of the greater prairie chicken, researchers believe it is an ideal candidate for genetic restoration. Bringing it back would be a massive win for conservationists who want to prove that we can fix the mistakes of the past. In the mountains of New Zealand, the moa was once the undisputed king. These flightless birds could stand up to 12 feet tall. While cloning a moa is significantly more difficult than a mammoth, the discovery of well-preserved feathers and even eggs has kept the dream alive. Modern science is slowly piecing together the genetic puzzle of these island giants. The great auk was the penguin of the north, a flightless seabird that lived on the islands of the North Atlantic. They were hunted for their down and meat until the mid-19th century. Scientists are now investigating the possibility of using the razorbill as a genetic base to bring this iconic bird back to the rocky shores of the Atlantic.
Finally, we have the saber-toothed tiger. While it is the most difficult on this list due to the age of the DNA, the discovery of specimens in the La Brea tar pits has given researchers hope. If we can master the art of resurrecting mammoths, the king of the Ice Age predators might be next. Bringing these animals back raises many questions about the ethics and the future of our planet. Should we focus on the living or fix the mistakes of the past? Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you found this journey into the future of nature fascinating, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to NatureCrest. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.